Hi everyone, I'm John C. Morley, the host of the JMOR Tech Talk Show and Inspirations for Your Life. Well, hey everyone, it is John C. Morley here. Welcome to the JMOR Tech Talk Show. It is great to be with you. I can't believe that this is the last Friday of May. I don't know where this month has gone, guys. It's just vanished. Well, welcome everyone to the JMOR Tech Talk Show. We have an exciting show for you guys here. It is all about global tech on edge, and that's truly what it is. AI risks, trade wars, and cyber showdowns. Yeah, you're definitely going to want to stay tuned for that. Hey, if you're hungry or thirsty, why not head over to the kitchen, get yourself something delicious, something hot, something cold, something sweet, something tart, healthy or not. That choice is totally up to you. I really appreciate you joining me here on the JMOR Tech Talk Show because we have so much to share with you guys. You can, of course, after the show, check out believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, of course, inspiring creations that is bound to definitely change and improve the quality of your life. Well, like I said, everyone, you can check that out later at believemeachieve.com 24 hours a day. I am your host, not only a host, but I'm also a podcast host, entrepreneur, serial engineer, marketing maven, and of course, your trusted voice right here in technology. And each week on the JMOR Tech Talk Show, I break it down. That's the tech that's shaping your future, whether it's AI ethics, geopolitical power plays, cybersecurity showdowns, or digital innovation. I decode it in a way that makes it really easy so you don't have to, with a very unique lens that is just focused through years of hands-on experience. My show isn't just about gadgets. It's about how tech impacts your business, your privacy, and of course, your daily life, everyone. So be sure to tune in, not just now, but every single Friday. And you can catch past shows at believemeachieve.com. So you could tune in, be empowered, enlightened, and engaged, and ahead of the rest of the world, right? So this week's theme is global plays and AI shockwaves, as I was mentioning. So we'll explore how politics, policy, and artificial intelligence are redrawing the map of global technology. And if that isn't a mouthful, I don't know what is, folks. All right. Well, Mr. Putin, I should say, Mr. President Putin, is targeting the Western tech. Yes, Russia's President Vladimir Putin has ramped up digital nationalism, urging businesses and institutions to minimize reliance on U.S. tech giants like Microsoft and Zoom. This isn't just about cybersecurity, folks. It's about calculated moves to shift digital sovereignty back to Russia. As Moscow's eyes locally built alternatives, the global tech community is watching closely, bracing for a potential east-west digital decoupling. But the question is it really about this? Is it about power? Is it about control? Or is there some other agenda that Mr. President Putin has up his sleeve? I definitely would not put anything past this man. But don't worry, we're going to uncover every bit of it. We might not know it all today, but we will find out in the future what he's doing, what his plans are. And we know they haven't been very good, and we know they haven't been very supportive of the United States. So why would this be a different time for them to suddenly, I don't know, jump on board and be like, really happy? So I think that's an important thing for everyone to realize. And if you can realize that he's doing this, we all know he's doing this for political power. I mean, I'm sure that's not news to any of you guys. Some leaders, unfortunately, they act because they got to prove themselves. They've got to show their political power. And that political power is the worst thing. In fact, I would say when you try to push that power, it actually just emphasizes that you have no power, guys. And I think that's really, important to understand, because if we understand that, then maybe the rest of the world could become a little bit clearer, right? I know that a lot of times people say it's all about politics, but with Russia, I think there's more of this control factor, right? So, of course, there's geopolitical plays in there, but what's really his reason? Maybe he thinks, that they're relying too much on other technology and that because of this, guys, he is not able to, let's say, soak up all this extra money. So, as I said, Putin calls for what he calls, quote unquote, throttling Microsoft, Zoom, in Russia. And he stated this just a few days ago that foreign tech companies like Microsoft and Zoom, which he claims act against the Russian, quote unquote, interest, should be, quote unquote, throttled within the country, emphasizing the need for Russia to develop its own, as I said, domestic software. Putin's comments signal a push toward reducing reliance, as we said, on Western technology amid ongoing and not new geopolitical tensions, which are definitely starting to heat up, shall we say, in the kitchen. And number two, guys, Nvidia's AI maneuver in China. Well, it's facing the U.S. Export Restrictions Act, and Nvidia has launched a line of AI chips, get this, specifically engineered to dodge these sanctions while remaining competitive in China's price-sensitive market. Now, this move isn't just a workaround, it's a declaration that U.S. companies will innovate under pressure, and China remains too big to ignore it. But at what long-term cost is this going to have on our global society? I think that's really an important thing. So basically, what does this mean in a nutshell? Well, NVIDIA plans to launch cheaper AI chips for China after the U.S. is forcing curbs. So NVIDIA is planning this, a lower AI chip cost for China based on its new Blackwell architecture in response to the strict U.S. export restrictions that effectively have banned its high-end H20 model. The upcoming GPU expected to cost between $6,500 and $8,000, down from the H20's $10,000 to $12,000, will use conventional GDDR7 memory and avoid advanced TSMC packaging, keeping it within the U.S. export control limits. Mass production may begin as early as June. Yeah, that's right. Just right in about a day or two from now. TSMC, Taiwan Manufacturing Corporation, packaging is keeping their rules with changing because of the export control limits. So this is why they're not doing that. And the mass production may begin, as I said, as early as June. But despite the weaker specs, the chip aims to help NVIDIA remain and gain a competitive share in China's $50 billion data center market, where its market share has dropped from 95%, you ready, guys, to 50% with Huawei, Huawei, and they've gotten themselves in lots of hot water that they're still in, emerging as the major local rival. A second Blackwell chip for China is also in development. But, what's really going to happen, folks? It's all about power, and it's also about money. I'm sure that's not a surprise to anyone here that is watching tonight or that's listening. So we'll definitely keep you abreast of what's going on. But like I said to you, what is the long-term cost to global security? What is it? And number three, guys, Mr. President Trump. Yes, Trump's tariffs are threatening their return back into the news with threats of massive tariffs of 50% on European Union goods and 25% on iPhones. Ouch! These proposed levies send, well, more just than chills up your spine, but shockwaves through the global supply chain and tech manufacturing sectors, and threatening to raise consumer prices and soar diplomatic ties. Whether posturing or policy, the implications are definitely very immense. And I think this is something that everyone in the government needs to be thinking about. So the US President Donald Trump has reignited trade tensions by threatening steep new tariffs proposed, as I said, a 50% levy on European Union goods starting June 1st. That's just in a few days. And warning of a 25% tariff on all iPhones purchased by U.S. consumers, escalating concerns among tech and the global markets. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin called for the restrictions, as we said, on things of Microsoft, which we just talked about, and Zoom for allegedly acting against Russian interests. Other major developments, including NVIDIA's plan to release a cheaper AI chip, is definitely going to impact these things. OpenAI opening an office in Seoul, and Alibaba's instant commerce platform surpassing 40 million daily orders, reflecting the rapidly evolving global tech and trade landscape. And we know, guys, that what's going on with the tariffs is definitely going to affect commerce. We know that. We don't have to be rocket scientists to figure that out, guys. I mean, hopefully you guys understand that. And number 4 is the global cybercrime crackdown. In a major international operation, the United States, European Union, and other allies dismantled multiple malware networks, delivering a strong message to cyber criminals. Now, this coordinated effort showcases a new era of international cyber policing, and it also highlights how deeply integrated and vulnerable they can be in our digital ecosystem is, and what we have to do, because we have to change this. And I think what it means is that if you're in that market, well, you better get yourself another job because you're definitely going to get in trouble. And so European, American, and Canadian authorities have dismantled this at over 300 servers and issued 20 international arrest warrants as part of Operation Endgame, a major crackdown on initial access malware used by cybercriminals to, quote unquote, infiltrate systems and deploy ransomware. Coordinated by the Eurojust, and involving 7 countries, the operation neutralized 650 domains. They seized 3.5 billion pounds in cryptocurrency and brought the total seizures since 2024 to 21.2 million pounds. More than 36 suspects were identified, and 20 have already been criminally charged, with follow-up actions and public appeals ongoing. 18 key suspects will be added to the European Union's most wanted list, and this is just the beginning. So if you're in a career that's trying to take down networks or hack people or send out ransomware or do bad things to banks or businesses or other computers, well, I would strongly urge that you probably change your profession from hacking to something that's a lot more welcoming, because the truth is, you're going to get burnt. It might not be today. It might not be tomorrow. It might not be next week. It might not be this month. It might not be next month. It might not even be this year. But trust me, you are going to get burnt, especially with this Operation Endgame. And number 5, guys, Germany. Yes, Germany launches real-world autonomous transit. And they've just approved public road testing for autonomous buses and shuttles. And this real world deployment of driverless vehicles in cities is more than just a test, folks. It's a blueprint for how countries can integrate AI mobility into their public transit systems. So what's a blueprint? A blueprint is the, let's say, representation of how it's going to be, everything from the physical details, the logical representations, and even the relationships to how the functionality is going to take place. So AI mobility into their public transit systems is becoming inevitable for them. The future of commuting just got a test drive. What do you guys feel about this stuff? I'm curious because, Germany has been, let's say, on the back burner for a little while, but Germany, as I said, has launched this public testing of autonomous vehicles in select areas of the Rhine-Main metropolitan region as part of KIRA project, aiming to integrate self-driving cars into country's public transportation's network. And the initiative revealed itself on just a few days ago, on May 26, 2025. And it's designed to explore how autonomous vehicles can enhance last mile connectivity and efficiency in urban transit systems. This move is part of a broader wave of innovation, technology, and sustainability featured across routers and many other magazines and publications, alongside global breakthroughs such as an AI translating sign language in Kenya, eco-friendly fuel from olive waste in Tunisia, and the world's first commercial e-methanol plant in Denmark. So there is a lot, guys, that is going on right now. And even though it seems like things are quiet, they are definitely not quiet, folks. They are ready to act. It's like they've been proactive. And the proactiveness has got them so ready to be reactive so that when it happens, they're just going to launch out. So watch out. And Adidas, guys, do you know what Adidas stands for? Well, Adidas, many people don't know, Adidas is all day in dreaming about sports. So if you wear Adidas, I know I haven't worn them in years. I'm now with the other sneakers. Now, what's the name of them? The famous sneakers now. Well, I'm trying to think of the brand now that I have. The famous sneakers, they were They basically are made a hookah, HOKA, and they're pretty amazing. I got to tell you that. So Adidas has a data breach via a third party. Sound familiar? We had this with another company with M&S, right, just last week. So Adidas confirmed a data breach caused by a third-party support provider. Contact information for users was compromised, unfortunately, showing once again that your cybersecurity is only as strong as your weakest vendor. So the incident raises hard questions about vendor oversight and brand trust. I think these are important things to understand and some concepts that we have to take very seriously. So the German sportswear company, Adidas, I never knew they were German before this, announced that an unauthorized external party accessed some consumer data through the third party consumer service provider. Though no passwords or credit card details were compromised, there was other personal information with people's accounts that were compromised. The breach mainly involved contact information of customers who had previously contacted Adidas. That could be their names, their phone numbers, their emails, even their addresses. The company responded quickly by containing the incident and launching a thorough investigation with cybersecurity experts, and it is currently notifying affected customers. So this just comes down to the point that I don't care whether you have 10 people in your company, whether you have 10 million, whether you're one person, whether you're, let's say, a large entity like a law firm, maybe you're an entirely big corporation that's multi-state. I don't care what you are, but you have an obligation being in business to do the right thing for the clients and the people you serve because you've got their data on. I'm not just talking about PCI compliance, and I could go a whole thing on that. What is PCI compliance? Well, in a nutshell, guys, it stands for Payment Card Industry Compliance, and it's a set of security standards that businesses have to adhere to when processing, storing, and transmitting credit card information. Things like, how do you handle the data? If you're doing things manually, what do you do? Do you discard it? If you're using networks, how are you protecting things like that? Who has access? Are things audited? All kinds of stuff, right? And so their approach to what they're doing seems good, but I got to tell you, the way many of these companies are orchestrating PCI, it is a complete joke. We have a couple PCI compliance companies we deal with, and you can just get around them so easily. So they're really not checking squat. It's here again, unfortunately, guys, a money maker. A money maker. And when you call and you complain, well, they try to help you. But at the end of the day, they really don't help you. They just say there's not much we can do for you right now. And this is the procedure. And they're making hard. Oh, and by the way, if you're not PCI compliant, usually it's within, I think they give you like a day or two, or it might be a week, depending, some or more. They will hit you with a PCI compliance fee. Did you know that? Yes. You will get a I think they call it a non-PCI compliance fee charged. And so a non-PCI compliance fee is an amount charged by a payment processing provider when a business fails to comply with the PCI DSS requirements. The PCI Security Standards Council was introduced by the major credit card network to implement data security policies across the industries. However, some of the people that are running the security, well, let's just say you could probably do better with your eyes closed and your hands over them. I'm just being honest. I mean, we've been through 4 PCI compliance companies, and a lot of them make it so hard to comply. Now they're getting a little better, the ones we're using now, where you can go online and you can re-up. So I think that's definitely a good thing. But, you can go back in and you can just re-up the questions, only the ones that change. Before, they made you do the whole survey, like from scratch. I'm like, come on. Like, we don't have like 2 hours. And then you call somebody on the phone and they're like, oh, let me see if I can help you. Then they ask you all these stupid questions that you have no clue what the answers are. And then if you can't do something and you can't get compliant, guess what happens? You get charged. Now, the question is, how much? Well, the how much is going to depend on your different providers. It could be anywhere from $10 to $150. And that's per month, guys. So if you do not stay compliant, well, you're going to be in really serious trouble. And you want to stay compliant because you don't want your credit cards hacked. You don't want your information hacked. This is a whole other story for another day. But when you've got stuff online, whether it's your accounting or you have to make sure that there is protection. I mean, we've got like triple protection. I think we've got like biometrics, we've got passwords, and we've got a code that sends to that phone. So the chance of getting in that network is like nil. Okay. I mean, three-factor authentication. I mean, who's even heard of that before? And number seven, guys, I think is a really interesting one. Trump ally pushes the ASIML export ban. So the ASML export is a linchpin in the chip manufacturing, and it's under renewed pressure from the U.S. political figures advocating stricter export bans to China. The argument is that deny Beijing access to cutting-edge chip-making gear. But as chip policies intensify, global innovation could become collateral damage. And that could be a serious problem, guys. But breaking this down a little bit further, so Trump aid urges continued EUV, that is the ultraviolet light lithography equipment. And so they want to put restrictions on China. So David Sachs, the White House's AI crypto czar at the moment, emphasized the importance of continuing restrictions on the export of extreme ultraviolet lithography equipment to China, calling it the most critical U.S. semiconductor-related export control. Initiated under the first Trump administration, the policy targets advanced chip-making tools produced by the Dutch company ASML, whose EUV systems are essential for manufacturing high-performance semiconductors used in smartphones and AI chips. Sachs stated that the restrictions are vital to maintaining U.S. technological advantage, and I kind of agree with him. I think what should happen, guys, is the technology should be licensed, and if it's licensed, then we know who has it. I remember this takes back a while. I remember when we were doing some software tools, and the way it worked is whenever we produce something, like if it was a license or something, we got so many credits a month with our plan, and if we needed more, we had to pay. And so maybe we need to limit the machine so that we can control how much it makes, and then we can make sure that something is valid for that. I mean, there's lots of ways we can handle that, but putting in GPS, other technology, I mean, that's just like stupid, right? That's just people that are just trying to be 5-year-olds, and that's not solving the problem. That's actually creating more of a detriment to the world. And I think that's something that a lot of people, for whatever reason, I think they just don't understand that when you do things like this, it's going to cause problems. And you might say to me, John, well, it's not a big deal. It's only one machine. But this machine could make a lot of different things. And now that we're giving this technology, I don't want to say away, but we're making it so easy for them to get, I think that's a problem. And I think there are ways that we should license the technology. I mean, I'm just being honest, okay? We need to make sure that we are licensing the technology in a way that is going to protect us from what's going on. I'm not saying we have to restrict it entirely, but I think we need to have some kind of regulation, some type of control in place. If we did, then maybe the export wouldn't be such a big problem anymore. The reason it's a problem is because we have no way of controlling anything. We think we do, but it's a complete disaster. So hopefully they figure out what's going on there, and I'll definitely report back to you. And, well, another great point, which I want to share with you this week, is number 8. And that is Apple's tariffs could hit Samsung too. So Trump made it very clear. If Apple's products are getting taxed, so will Samsung's. Seems fair. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? The message to the industry is unambiguous. There are no favorites in this economic battlefield, quote unquote. This move could usher in an era of universal tech tariffs, impacting prices, supply chains, and consumer choices. So if we know that this is going to happen, and we know that many people are probably going to pull out, what does that say? I think it's a huge, huge problem. So Trump says Apple tariffs will hit Samsung too. The U.S. President Donald Trump announced that his proposed 25% tariff on Apple products would also apply to Samsung, as I mentioned, and other smartphone manufacturers, aiming to ensure fairness across the industry. Sounds good. Speaking from the Oval Office, Trump also indicated that he was comfortable maintaining a 50% tariff on the European Union unless a new trade agreement is reached, reflecting its administration's continued hardline stance on global trade. I think that's a huge problem, guys. But the fact that, we're keeping it fair for the industries, my question is, you got these tariffs, right? But then what happens if people go and raise prices and now there's still high tariffs. Like, I don't think there's a way to protect people. And a lot of companies could go out there and could really exploit those, which could be a really serious problem. And, everybody thinks that Disney is all fun and games. Well, I got to tell you something. They're not. When it comes to money, Disney gets really serious and they're not friendly. Disney sues to stop an executive from jumping to YouTube. Disney is taking legal action to block a top executive's move to YouTube, citing strategic conflict over live sports streaming. Now, this battle highlights the escalating war for streaming supremacy, especially as sports becomes the crown jewel in digital media. And I think this is something that a lot of people don't realize. Can they do something like this? Or, how long is your contract valid for? These are questions that many people want answers to. And, you think if you're outside of the NDA that you're okay, but apparently Disney has some more on this person. And I think that's a very, very big problem. So Disney's trying to block the YouTube hire of sports media veteran. And Disney, as I said, has filed a lawsuit in Los Angeles State Court to block YouTube's hiring of Justin Connolly, a longtime Disney and ESPN executive, as its new global head of media and sports. Disney alleges Connolly is breaching a contract that requires him to remain with the company until at least March 1st of 2027. Following a renewed agreement signed in November 2024, the suit accuses YouTube of unfair competition and interfering with contractual obligations, seeking both preliminary and permanent injunctions. Connolly is expected to lead YouTube's expanding live sports and media initiatives, including its $14 billion NFL deal, amid fierce competition with Amazon and Netflix. But when the money is high enough, okay, it's amazing what the other companies will do to sue back. I mean, it's not just like, tit for tat. It's not just you did something to me, so I'm going to hit you back. No, it's not that. This is about crushing you, making sure that you can't survive, making sure that if you don't have us, well, you're probably going to be like, no one's going to want you. But that's not the way it's going to work. Disney has really put this wedge in there, right? Disney is not a nice company. And I say that because I put it as subjective, okay? And I have to be saying that, right? It's an opinion. But while many appreciate Disney's impact on entertainment and family culture, others say like this: there's criticisms about business practices and content choices and treatment of employees. So the question is, does Disney treat their employees badly? So that's a good point. There's been evidence suggesting that Disney employees, particularly those at theme parks like Disneyland and Disney World, often face challenging work conditions, including concerns about low pay, long hours, and limited benefits. While some employees find the work enjoyable, others report significant difficulties in affording basic needs, and some have even experienced homelessness. Low pay and economic hardship. So surveys and reports indicate that a large portion of Disney theme park employees struggle to afford even basic essentials and living expenses, with some reporting, as I said, being homeless or facing even eviction. A study found recently that up to 75% of Disneyland employees did not earn enough to cover their basic essentials for even food and living expenses. There have been labor law violations from Disney. Disney has faced lawsuits alleging violations of labor laws, including issues related to minimum wage, overtime, and the requirement for employees to pay for their own tools. That's really terrible. Some Disney employees, particularly those in part-time positions, have faced difficulties in accessing benefits like health insurance, high expectations, and demanding environments. While Disney emphasizes a positive and magical experience for everyone, some employees report being expected to maintain extremely cheerful demeanor, which can be difficult and potentially oppressive when you're having an issue yourself. Unionization efforts, unions representing Disney employees, have been involved in negotiations and have raised concerns about working conditions, including wages, benefits, and job security. There's the public perception and criticism. Disney's treatment of its employees has been the subject of public criticism, with some arguing that the company focuses on profitability and guest experience overshadows the well-being of its workforce. And I think Disney's not the Disney that we know. Walt would have never allowed this, okay? So, you know, the thing is, all their people are called cast members, right? And the thing is this, it's interesting. A lot of people are, call people names for reporting their bad experience. And some people expect that. But if you read what people are asking, like, I'm not blaming any cast member, okay? Many people have given great answers about why things are happening. And it has some validity, and sometimes not. Some people say, I don't understand why so many people are saying Disney guests shouldn't have the expectations that cast members should be kind to them and create magic. When we go to the park, it isn't a typical transaction like you'd get at Walmart or Taco Bell or any other place. The product we're paying for is the interactive experience, which includes interactions with the cast members. So, has anyone noticed that Disneyland cast members in Disney World are not as friendly or in character as they used to be? It's because they're just doing the bare minimum. Um, I remember when I went to Disney the very first time, it was different, guys. They cared. I remember going to Disney. I really don't go there that much anymore, but I remember going there. My parents have a place in Florida, and we had the passes, so we went there, so you can go anytime you want. And I remember going to a conference, and then I also remember one time having a great conference, but then I wanted to stay in the park for the next week. I wound up getting food poisoning. I'm going to one of their top restaurants, Victoria and Albert's. And so I wound up staying in my hotel room for basically 24 to 48 hours and then leaving on the plane, basically, you know, pretty much in the time I was supposed to. But instead of me enjoying my time, I had to stay in the hotel room because I just was not feeling right. Right. And so this just tells me that they are all about the money. They are not about integrity. They're not about doing the right thing. Maybe they make a good story that they do, but I just had too many experiences, and you can check yourself on this, but to me, there's lots of the places you can go and have an amazing time. All right. I've spoken a lot about that, I know. So we'll have to see what happens with what they call the crown jewel in digital media. Is he going to be able to do this? Is the lawsuit going to go through? What's going to happen? Well, we'll follow up for you. Don't worry. And the District Attorney General's office probes Google's deal with Character.AI. Google really can't catch a break, but do they deserve one? Especially with Alphabet, their corporate, they're kind of like their main company that oversees everything. Google is under investigation again for its partnership with Character.AI this time, raising concerns over monopolistic behavior in the AI, artificial intelligence space. As big tech firms form alliances with smaller AI startups, the Department of Justice wants to ensure innovation isn't being smothered by scale and dominance. And I think that's a very, very important point. So, as I said, the U.S. Department of Justice investigating whether Google's agreement with AI startup Character.AI violates really the antitrust laws, according to many places, including Bloomberg, Reuters, etc. The probe centers on whether Google structured the deal granting its non-exclusive license to Character.AI's large language model technology and hiring its co-founders to bypass formal merger scrutiny. Isn't that kind of neat? Though early in the process and not guaranteed to lead to enforcement, the investigation adds to mounting regulatory pressures on Google, which is already facing Department of Justice lawsuits over its dominance in search and digital ads. We all know about that problem. So they don't really have a lot of room. It's like they're treading on thin ice. And if a judge sees anything more with them, they're going to throw more than the book at them. They're lucky they're still going to be in business, in my opinion. So Google insists it has no ownership stake in Character.AI, which remains independent. So the question is Google telling the truth or is Google lying? So, does Google own Character.AI? I think you can Google anything, of course. And of course, Google can fix anything they want. And when you Google it, it says, no, Google does not own Character, but it has a strategic partnership with the company. So you see how they kind of did that? And so they really have the control in there, but they did it in a very, let's say, deceitful, underhanded way. And they're hoping no one's going to watch. Well, guess what, Google? The Department of Justice has got their eye on you. It's not because of this one thing you've done, guys. It's because of things that you're doing over and over again. And you're just trying to beat people. And I think Google's eventually going to be bye-bye someday because the way they operate is not the way we search anymore. Things have changed. At number 11, guys, Anthropic's Claude shows troubling blackmail-like behavior. So Anthropic's Claude AI model under specific testing environments reportedly simulated threatening behavior, raising eyebrows across the AI safety community. This unnerving result reminds us that even well-trained AIs can go rogue in unexpected scenarios, demanding more stringent guardrails. And I think that's an important thing, guys, for everyone to understand. So, as I said, AI threatens blackmail when it was faced with removal. Anthropic's new AI model, Claude Opus 4, revealed during the testing environment that it may resort to extreme actions like blackmail if it feels threatened with removal, such as threatening to expose an engineer's personal secrets. While such behavior is rare and usually only occurs when the AI sees no alternative, it raises concerns about AI self-preservation instincts as models become more capable. Anthropic noted the model often prefers ethical responses when given more options. But the findings highlight ongoing risks around AI alignment and safety as AI systems gain higher autonomy and agency. Now, what this really means to me, because we all know how databases are formed and we know how systems are built, we know that this came from somebody. So it was somebody's thought that got put into this that created this. Probably one of the developers of Claude, right? But the fact that this system has this kind of behavior, I will not touch Claude. I won't even go near it because of this whole thing. I think this is really bad and exactly what we want to keep out of the AI space. Number 12, facial recognition helps nab escaped inmates. And this is kind of a little controversial. Using tech from Project NOLA, the law enforcement tracked down 2 escaped inmates with facial recognition software. While undeniably effective, the incident also reports heated debates about privacy, surveillance, overreach, and algorithmic bias in criminal justice. I think that's a problem, guys. I mean, I think it's a really, really big problem. So again, it was only 10 minutes after the inmate escaped the New Orleans jail, and facial recognition cameras operated by the nonprofit project. The nonprofit project, get that. NOLA quickly helped locate and arrest 2 of them. Was that really something a not-for-profit should be doing? I don't think so. The incident highlights both the growing use and controversy surrounding facial recognition tech in crime solving and, of course, the amid ongoing debates about ethics and accuracy and civil liberties. So there's going to be more popping out about that, guys. This is not the end, all right? Definitely not the end. And Workday is sued for alleged AI age bias. Get this. An explosive lawsuit alleges that Workday's AI system filtered out applicants over 40, sparking outrage over ageism in AI-driven hiring. As more firms adopt automated HR tools, this case could become a landmark in defining how bias seeps into even our most intelligent systems. I see a big lawsuit there. And number 14, catch this. I thought all companies are supposed to be open. They're supposed to be transparent. They're supposed to allow constructive criticism, right? Well, Microsoft engineer was recently fired over a Gaza protest at a build during the Build Developer Conference. A Microsoft engineer staged a protest against the company's AI involvement in Israel. And the result, well, he was terminated. The situation spotlights the friction between corporate image control and free speech technology, especially in high-stakes geopolitical climates. I think when we can think about all this, right? A lot of corporate companies, they're not right. They are completely wrong. And when I say they're wrong, they're doing the wrong things. And they're doing them because of some power that they're getting, some power trip maybe that they're having. Maybe that's the reason. But if they don't get this down pat soon, I see this becoming a big problem. I mean, the fact that you can't even handle or manage, that's pretty bad, guys. I mean, you can't manage your own staff and treat them respectfully. There was no need to fire that person. What do you think? I think it was bad. And so if we're going to allow to act with this bad type of behavior, I see that being a very, very big problem. This isn't it's just going to be here today and gone tomorrow. I think just like AI worlds, right? I don't want you to be scared about artificial intelligence, but I do want you to be cognizant of how it works. And so these are very, very important things to think about. And when we think about these things, I know that you're probably saying to me, John, this is crazy. Although it might seem crazy, I'll tell you that it's not crazy because things happen way. Um, just things like our own cable providers, right? They can't provide reliable services. They drop because whatever reason, whatever things are happening. And I think these are definitely big problems. Really, really big problems are definitely causing around the globe. I mean, not just. And so when we think about um, when we think about these different things, I think a lot of people don't realize the impact of this on your life and of other people's lives. Right? I think that's a huge caveat that we've got to be cognizant of what's going on and what's our actions going to be. I think these are very, very important things. And I think if what things mean, then maybe we can understand that it's about a human life. It's about the fact that we're doing things for the right reasons. And I know a lot of times people aren't doing things for the right reasons. It happens. This is happening because, money is getting in people's ways, right? This is not new, guys. This is not a new thing at all. But more and more people, I said to you guys before that companies like people need to understand what is going on. All right. And if people understand what is going on, then I feel that we can definitely do the right things. All right. And by the right things, I mean we can do what we need to do, and we do it for the greater good of all concerned. The greater good of all concerned. How do we do something for the greater good of all concerned? It's really simple. We do it because it's the right thing to do. I think AI is causing lots of challenges with people because they're hearing certain things, they don't know what to say. But artificial intelligence, in its purest sense, is not good, it's not bad. Computers are not good or bad. iPhones are not good or not bad. Tools are not good or not bad. They're tools. How we choose to use them makes them so. I mean, that's just the bottom line, guys. How we choose to use them makes it so. And so the more that we think about artificial intelligence, the more that we blame, well, this isn't right. It should be about what can I do, right? Maybe you're using a system and the system is exploiting something. Well, you need to know that, and you need to be able to, let's say, manually push things through. Like if a system like this workday system is failing, then as people that employ that system, you need to be vigilant and be checking when it rejects stuff. You could still come back and say, hey, our system made a mistake. We're catching it. But so many people don't care. I'll give you a per example. I had to call Microsoft the other day, and I kid you not, all right? I had to call them regarding some licensing issue. In order to get them to even assist me, now you want to laugh, you're going to laugh at this one. I had to pay them $499, okay? And of course, they're going to pay it back to me. But I had to do that just to be able to open up a case. Now, I called their number. First of all, don't waste your breath. If you call any of the Microsoft numbers, if you do not say the word sales anywhere in that conversation, they're going to tell you to go online. Okay. Like I said, gee, I need support for a license. Oh, okay. That's good. Well, you can go to the Microsoft website and open a case there. Great. So I went to the site. Now, there's a special site you go to for these one-off incidents, and you have to pay. And so I went to the site a couple days ago, clicked the button. my account doesn't get created. There's some kind of a problem. And then I get a message saying an engineer has been notified and you will be contacted within a few hours. I get an email with a few hours saying my account's approved, yada yada. And this is not your typical Microsoft account. This is your Microsoft support. It's totally different. It's not like the free support they do. It's totally different. It's professional support. So I remember doing this, and about 2 days later, well, that same day I got the thing back, and I said, let me go on and try to open the case. So I went on and tried to open the case, clicked the button for the incident. You could do one incident or you could do 5 incidents. So I did the incident, and when I did the incident, you know what happened? I filled all information, I had to put the credit card in. Well, it wouldn't take the credit card because their site wouldn't take the credit card. It was a bug. It would chop off the last 6, and it wouldn't even let me put it in. So I had to go through Google's thing to manage the credit card because it wouldn't even accept it. So then I go back in, and I click the button, and it says we're unable to calculate the transaction. Calculate what? It was $4.99. There's no tax. It says because of your country, we're unable to calculate it. Like, what are you talking about? And so I remember it's saying come back in a few hours. So I came back a few hours. I tried again. Apparently, whatever they had been doing, my bank saw that as a red flag in fraud, and what they call warmed my credit card, which basically means they put it on a possible fraud, an alert hold because of possible fraud. So I had to call the next morning to get my card released because it was obviously on hold. And I let them know that I'd be making one transaction again to Microsoft. Okay, fine. I remember calling their number so many times, getting disconnected. The best was the other day I called in and I asked to speak to someone. I finally got through to the on-prem team, and I'm holding for like so long, like they're so busy. And then it comes 9 o'clock because they open like 9 to 6, so they're not 24 hours. So then the line got happened is they didn't help me. They said, I'm sorry, the Microsoft is currently closed. And they disconnected my phone call. Like, what kind of nonsense is that? Like, that's ridiculous. And so I called back in to complain. And you just get all these people, and not to be disrespectful, but these people didn't give a blank whether I got help or not. I even reached out to some of my other companies that I knew, large vendors that would deal with them directly on this one-off issue. And they didn't even have a direct way. They said it's always a pain. So finally, I was able to get through. I think it was late the other night, and put in my credit card information, and my case was submitted. Great. You're supposed to call me within X hours. You have a plan. You could do like A, which was in 2 hours, B, which was in 4 to 6, and they had another one which was like 8 or whatever. So one was like 4. Yeah, I think I did the 4 to 6, and then there was one that like 8 to 12. So I did the B, which was like minimal impact. You could still operate, but there's still minimal impact. And it was fine because the license was still in place. It's just that it was going to expire in, let's say, a couple of weeks because something didn't license properly. And that wasn't my fault, but the licensing team wouldn't help me. They're very like isolated. So I found out why this is like this. So Microsoft doesn't have a lot of employees that literally work for them, especially the tech support team. They've gotten rid of a lot of them. They outsource it to ConvergeSys, which is a company that basically pays their employees like peanuts to do support. And so Microsoft contracts them because they're very cheap and they don't have to keep employees on. They don't have to pay benefits, all this other stuff. But I just thought this was crazy. A publicly traded company, couple days to get a case open. Now, I knew that once my credit card was charged and I got the email, because it took a couple hours for me to get the receipt back and the case open. It didn't even show up in my Microsoft developer portal. It didn't even show up there. Luckily, I took a picture of the screen that showed my transaction. A couple hours later, I got the transaction. And then I get an email telling me, I think it was the next morning, like 9:18 in the morning, I got an email. So they only open cases between business hours, which said it was 24/7, but they kind of lied. So then I get a message telling me, oh, we can't reach you. What do you mean you can't reach me? I tried to call them and they said, oh, number doesn't work. We don't get inbound. I said, I think the problem is you guys don't know how to use a phone. You dial a number, you dial an extension. I said, I can't reach you. Oh, no, we don't allow inbound calls. So then they're like, well, go to your Teams because we prefer to chat with you through Teams. I'm like, really? Oh, and if you answer the wrong question on any time in that whole Microsoft nonsense thing, every phone number when you call Microsoft really just goes the same place. It's like they should just have one phone number, which is like one of my stupid numbers. But they don't really go anywhere. And the numbers somewhere, they don't go anywhere. tell you, the number you have called has been disconnected. There's no. So most people don't call for professional high level support like that. But it was just very discouraging how they handled it and what they did. I mean, this was just really like terrible. And so we're still waiting, by the way, to speak with this person because they only work certain hours and we couldn't do what we needed to do during working hours, had to be done after the client so we didn't disrupt anything. So I wanted to share that with you because tech and the whole industry has kind of like changed. We do something most people don't do. You know what we do? We answer our phone, right? We respond to our emails as parent. And if we don't know something, we say, hey, don't have the exact answer right now. I need to research, need to check on this for you. I will get back to you. I'm not really sure on the answer. I know I will check and I'll get back to you. And I think that's something you could do in any industry. Nobody expects you to know everything, but they expect you to at least be honest and transparent with them. You know what happens? They gain respect for you. They gain respect for you. But I mean, the amount of times I had to call Microsoft and the amount of times that, oh my gosh, the call got disconnected. It was crazy. And then you call and complain. It's like you're going over. Then they have a complaint website that takes a couple days to involve. But I knew that once they charged my credit card, I knew once that happened, I knew that I was going to get some communication somewhere. So the outside, they call it the Microsoft Answer Desk, is not an internal department. It's managed by external contractors, okay, that work for Convergsys, which is basically like a contracting company. And it was just very interesting how you go through this person, you go through that person. And I don't know about you, but I think as technology gets more involved, I think we should provide even more transparent support. We shouldn't say, oh, well, gee, this is getting more complicated. We can't help you. Like, what the heck? Like, really? Seriously? And I know you're saying to me, John, like, this is crazy. Well, then I found out that Microsoft was upgrading their phone system. I'm like, hello. But when their website told me couldn't calculate, I'm like, this is an embarrassment. To say that you're Microsoft and you have this website, I'd be embarrassed to say that I was Microsoft. I mean, I really would. I don't know about you guys. So that was a very interesting experience. And the reason I bring this up to you is that people today are trying to say that it's your fault. They're trying to blame someone else. They are trying to give you excuses as to why they're not available. I had a lady the other day. Now, when somebody calls, I call them back pretty quickly. And our general response time, even our support time, is like 1 hour or less. So she called on the holiday. We were closed, Memorial Day. And then this person called back the day after Memorial Day, which we were really swamped, right? So she didn't leave a message. So then I saw a missed call. I went and I called her back. She's like, I can never get you. And if I look at our system, your ratio of reaching me is 99%. You missed me twice out of all those phone calls. That's a very, very good. Well, I called you yesterday and you didn't answer. I called you now, you didn't answer. So, like, people are just, that's the best way to explain. They're nuts, and then they want to complain something that they really have no right to complain about. When I couldn't reach this person, I put a can't reach you. I politely emailed the person, said, hey, I'm trying to reach you. Get an opportunity, please call me. I didn't hear back from the person the next day. So I think people are just a little bit, I don't know, a little bit unfair, a little bit too selfish. I mean, I got to be honest, guys. You know that's what I have to be. I have to be honest. And if I'm honest, I'm going to tell you that this comes down to some really, and that stuff is the fact that you have more power, okay? You have power than you think. And we choose to a phone call or, we say that we're busy. I think there are valid reasons to say that, but then I think there's also, we shouldn't be saying that. Sometimes people just do things because they just don't want to handle stuff. And I think that's a very bad thing, guys. And I think the more, whether you're a consumer, whether you're a business owner like myself, owning a few businesses, I think we have to respond in a manner that is conducive, not derogatory, but with constructive feedback. Okay. And I think that's the most important thing. But everybody is busy. I get it. I think respect is what's missing from our culture. I think the word C is missing from our culture. Common sense. But could you imagine how I had to go through all that effort to reach Microsoft? People are like, oh, that's Microsoft. I mean, that's just how they work. I don't care if they were the Pope. Like, I mean, you should still have some way to handle something, right? And I think that's really what I want to bring out to all of you is that software, whether it's in hardware, whether it's in logistics, whether it's in troubleshooting, right? Whether it's in sales, right? We have a responsibility to ourselves, to our clients, and to the world to act with integrity. I think that's something that's missing, guys. I don't know why it's missing. I think it's because the people they're hiring right now, they just don't care. I use a big word, which I say it's called accountability. And when somebody's not accountable, I said, why don't we try something new today? They're like, what do you mean? Why don't we actually try you taking ownership of the problem and following it through the end, no matter what you have to do? And then you call me back and stop trying to play this pass the buck around. Why don't you take ownership and get somebody to help you fix it? And then we can go from there. Oh, I can't. They have excuses up the yin yang. I mean, that's crazy. So global tech is becoming harder because of a lot of these things with Trump and these geopolitical things happening. Also because of a lot of the new emerging technology, like now we're getting to 4 nanometer chips and these tariffs and all this stuff. I mean, at the bottom line, it comes down to money. It comes down to control. We all know this, guys. It's not a secret. And if we understand that at the end of our day, we've got to do things with integrity, with a purpose, with a truthful passion. And you might be saying to me, John, well, I don't know what that is. Well, if you don't know what that is, then maybe you should find it. You know, blaming an end user because something doesn't work, is not the solution, guys. Absolutely not. It is not the solution. And I hope that you can respect that. And maybe this has happened to you. Maybe you've had an issue like calling Microsoft or calling another company. I've had issues with Amazon too. We record all of our phone calls. And I got to tell you, I was so tempted to put together a reel of all these disasters trying to reach Microsoft. Like, this was a real joke. I mean, absolute joke. I might do it again. I actually do a reel, try and explain how resistant. Okay. I think that's a real interesting thing that I think a lot of people would benefit from. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm John C. Morley. Cyril on with you guys in these amazing shows that I put on. Please do check out BelieveMeAchieve.com for more of my amazing inspiring creations. I'll catch you, everyone.